Hi there. I'm Dave Merkel, Global Chief Technology Officer for FireEye. Thanks for joining us for this session today. This is actually part two. In part one, we started an overview of the FireEye product platform, showing how we implement an adaptive defense model using our various sets of technologies. In part one, we talked about an attack scenario and covered products that are really focused on the detection and prevention phase of our continuous threat prevention process. Here in part two, we're going to continue that same story, talking about a set of an advanced attack, a process that the attacker is going through, and how the parts of our product line focused on analysis and response can help you deal with these advanced threats. So in part one, we had a multi-vector attack going across a variety of different vectors. We left off with an attack coming at our users in an attempt to get them to click on a link and basically exercise a browser exploit to compromise your environment. And we left off with our various products detecting these attacks and notifying a CISO of an organization that has all of our product platform defined, deployed and utilized to notifying him of the attacks and letting him know what's going on in his organization. Now we resume that story talking about the next step. So we've had our products deployed. We're seeing these attacks come into our environment, but we have a challenge. Right, so we're seeing these attacks, and with the exception of mobile, these attacks are really talking about what's on our network. But what about our assets off our network? And what about some of the questions we might want to answer, like, is there any chance any of these attacks might have gotten through? Is there any system that's potentially compromised? And that's where we have FireEye's Host Threat Prevention Platform, or HX, that can help us solve the problem. HX is integrated with all the different products I talked about previously, and what it allows us to do is take information about a potential advanced attack. Say the attacker sends in an email with a link and the user's clicked on it and that exploit fires. All the FireEye product line is integrated with HX, and as that event occurs, that intelligence is passed to our host threat prevention product, and we can now go out and talk to every FireEye agent that we have deployed on every laptop, on every server, on every system that has an OS that supports the FireEye agent, begin to investigate and respond. So what occurs? Well, essentially maybe we see a detection for an event. It comes to HX. HX sees that, turns that into active threat intelligence, deploys it to all the FireEye agents, and we immediately evaluate if we have any systems that have been compromised. In this example, we see, in fact, we do have 6 systems where the attack has gotten through. In this case, maybe these are systems on our network, but maybe these are systems off our network. Maybe one of these is the CEO's laptop, and he's up the street, sitting in a coffee shop, typing away on some email. But we're actually able to command and control the agent on that laptop, even if the CEO is not on our network, even if the CEO is not connected to our corporate VPN. Anywhere these assets are, we have visibility, so we can begin to extend that boundary around our assets by virtue of using the HX platform. So it automatically does an evaluation, identifies if systems are potentially compromised, gives that information to me, and now I've gone from a detection event to beginning to scope a potential attack in minutes, and it all happens automatically. Additionally, if I want to do something about this attack, maybe I want to contain the systems that have been compromised. I want to turn off their network connections to begin to slow the attacker down. Well, the HX platform lets us do that. The FireEye agent has inside of it the capability to turn off network connectivity on a compromised system. If we tell it to, that disconnects the good guy, our user. So again, if our CEO is sitting in the coffee shop, he loses connectivity. The bad guy also loses connectivity, so we've slowed the attacker down, but you, the security team, continue to have connectivity. So if you want to investigate, retrieve information from that system, continue your threat prevention process, you have the ability to do that if you need to. Well, at this point, in part one, we saw a multi-vector attack. Now here in part two, I'm beginning to analyze and respond, and I've seen that the attacker has had some success. I'm starting to be extremely concerned if I'm the CISO of this organization. And I'm starting to have a lot of questions. One really important question I've got is, what's the context for this attack? Who is it? If it's an advanced attack, is this organized crime? Is it a nation state? I really would like some more answers. And since FireEye has, frankly, the world's best database of threat intelligence out there and knows more about advanced attacks than anyone, if I'm the CISO, what I really wish I could do is get the benefit of that threat intelligence, have FireEye tell me more. Well, our products are all connected to FireEye through something we call DTI, or Dynamic Threat Intelligence. But we have an additional offering that sits on top of that that you could potentially enable if you are interested, that begins to answer some of those questions, and it's called ATI, or Advanced Threat Intelligence. And basically what ATI lets us do is that information that you're being attacked in your environment gets shared with FireEye, analyze it, and if we know more about it, if we have answers to those questions, who is it? What are they after? We can pass that back to you through our products directly so that you can take a look at it and get more context. In this particular example, what it looks like is going on is we have a criminal organization, one that's active primarily in Taiwan and the United States, that's been active for some time, that's utilizing some techniques that FireEye has actually seen before. If we knew this was a nation state, if we had a specific APT threat group that we knew, who it was, we could pass that information to you. And we can also pass you information and links to profiles about these attackers so that you start to get that higher order intelligence all through the FireEye product experience. Well, at this stage, I know I've got an attack ongoing. I know the attacker has had some success. I have more context. I understand who that attacker is, and I know I need to be concerned. I'm probably not going to rely on everything I've done just now. I'm going to take a belt and suspenders approach. I want to go investigate. I want to go analyze and respond more aggressively to make sure I'm not missing anything. And now I start to have some questions that need answered that sound like, well, these 6 systems, did they connect to anything else? What have they done for the past 7 or 8 days? I wish I had more visibility. Well, FireEye has a product to help support those queries and begin to really fill in the answers to questions that matter. Our network forensic product, PX, basically allows us to start to understand things like what systems connected to who, when did they do it, what was in those packets. As a network forensic product, it sits in strategic locations on your network, records every packet it sees and keeps it, and indexes those packets to answer those questions. So the example I gave you, hey, these 6 systems, show me everywhere they connected and everything that went back and forth between them for the last day, or 7 days, or 30 days. You can actually begin to answer that question, and you can answer it in minutes. So you can pivot from things like threat alerts and the rest of the FireEye platform to the more detailed packet information that really lets you get into those details. Want to see what file was downloaded from a central file server? Want to see if a particular system interacted with some sensitive repository for a program that's very important to your organization? With PX on your network, you have the ability to go right at that information. And again, we're doing this in minutes, not hours, days, or weeks. That's still only part of the picture, though. We have a network picture. We have a host picture. But if you're talking about analyzing and responding to events, there's a third aspect you need to think about. There's a lot of infrastructure in your environment that produces log data, events, things like firewall logs or web proxy logs or authentication logs. And if you're in that analysis and response part of the continuous threat prevention process, you really have to start taking a look at some of that data to answer all the questions that matter inside of an incident. And that's where our threat analytics platform, or TAP, comes into play. You can send all of that data to TAP, the same kind of data you would put in a log management system or SIM. And what TAP lets you do is very dynamically pivot through that data. You can apply your own threat intelligence to that data. Say, for example, in our attack that we have ongoing here, you know the attacker is utilizing a particular command and control channel or a set of IP addresses to attack your environment. And you want to apply that intelligence to all the logs you've collected in your environment. TAP can very quickly analyze that intel, apply it to all of your data, and answer your questions. You can pivot dynamically through that data, and you can begin to answer some other questions using our threat analytics capabilities that might show you some other aspects of the attack. What if the attacker, in addition to this malware-based attack, was also trying to steal credentials from employees and log into your corporate VPN, not using malware? Well, wouldn't it be great if you could analyze access into your corporate VPN, identify locations where the attacker was coming from or the user logging into the VPN, and find basically flaws in their attack pattern where maybe they're coming from China one second and from Kansas the next second and from Europe the next second, and that's an anomalous pattern. Wouldn't it be great to have that automatically identified for you and presented so that you know you need to look there as well to fully understand the scope of the attack? That's exactly what TAP can provide, again, helping you complete that analysis and response part of the threat prevention process to complement all the detection and prevention that happens with the rest of the FireEye platform. So there you have it. That rounds out part 2 of our discussion. Everything from detection to prevention to analysis to response. Now, this isn't a comprehensive feature overview of everything in the product, the product line, but it helps give you a sense of all the different capabilities from the different products and how they apply in a realistic attack scenario. Thanks for your time.